Welcome to Stars Podcast. Through self-defense, mixed martial arts, nutrition, family, and all things in between, we share our journey of how we hack our mind and body to get the maximum return out of each day. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the journey. Cool. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. Stars Podcast here. Host Ron Jordan here. Coming at you with a couple guests. I've met these guys in the summertime over at Slippery Rock, the farmers market, and they had some of the most unique named coffees that I'd ever heard of. So I had to try a couple, and I believe I'm on the Squirrel Monkey still. We have Doug and Brandon from Fuzzy Monkey Coffee. So thank you guys for coming on and talking about what you have going on over at Fuzzy Monkey.
Thanks for having us, Ron. Yep.
So where does the name come from?
No, I'll let Brandon take that one since it's mostly his creation.
Yeah, so I mean, for a while now, I've been drinking coffee. Start off probably like everybody else does with the sugary drinks and stuff, and then you gain a little weight drinking those every day, and then you realize maybe I should try to drink it black, and that's what I did. And then I kind of started like experimenting and tasting different brands, different, even like cold brews, iced coffees. And I was walking through, I think it might've been a local gas station. And at the time, they don't really have it anymore, but there was like this case full of just a variety of different coffees from all over the country. And they're just, I wish I could remember some off the top of my head, but they're kind of unique, much like how Fuzzy Monkey was. And that's kind of how I came up with the idea. I was like, if I had a coffee company, what would I name it? And because presence and kind of name, that's the first thing that really pops out to people. And I'm just like, man, what would be really unique? So get people thinking like, what?
So I mean, initially, just like you were saying, the name, the logo, it all screams like ask questions. I need to know more about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we reel a lot of people in.
Yeah, that's the genius of it. Now, yes. Do you have a background in marketing and branding or anything like that?
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
But I will say I've always been kind of creative, just with anything, videos and pictures and things like that. So it's just kind of how my brain works. My kind of day job is a real estate agent also, and that's pretty much being a full-time marketing type of deal. That's kind of what it was. And then the idea of like, we didn't even obviously have a logo at that time. I think I mentioned it to my father at one point in time, and I think he laughed at it, and that was pretty much the end of it. And then about a year later, he just out of the blue brought it up and said, hey, you want to do that? And I'm like, heck yeah. So that's when we really dove head first.
Well, what changed, Doug, for you then?
Just kind of, we'd messed around with a little bit of drop ship stuff on eBay, and it was just kind of a messing around because somebody
also had a garlic business.
Yeah, and we tried to get a garlic business going with my brother, and that would have went well. We just didn't have the time. But then we both like coffee and we drink it all the time, and I was just trying. I don't know. It just popped into my head. I'm like, and I'm on the internet a lot. I'm a techie guy, IT guy, and just you see things when you're, and you see all these coffee companies, and it's like, yeah, I think we could do something like that. And then, like Brandon said, we had talked about the Fuzzy Monkeys stuff, and it's like, and adding on to that a little bit, it was, I see a monkey, Brandon would say, I see a monkey, hyped up on caffeine. And, our logo, being what it is, kind of derived a little bit from that, but also from the monkey that it's based on, which is the Golden Lion Tamarin. And we worked with a really good designer out in Montana that, they started us off with some storyboards and stuff like that. And we just kind of evolved the final design, went through several iterations that started with basically nothing like we have now. So we.
It's interesting how they can transform your idea into reality and what that actually looks like.
Yeah, and we kind of, had a little bit of help with that as well. If you ever get a chance to go look at the logo of the San Diego Zoo, you'll kind of see where we came from a little bit. It's a cool look, and we
did that same company do that logo as well? Then
I don't think they did. I think they just they might have referenced it. I think I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah,
they had a lot of varieties whenever they first came to us. It is very much like a storyboard, and you kind of pick and choose what you like, what you don't like, colors, things like that. I mean, there was like we had a monkey on a unicycle. I'm trying to think of like a couple of the other ones we had.
All
like
types of stuff.
Yeah, they really brought it to us, and this one in particular, it was a little bit different. And the colors were different in it, but I was like, wow, that's kind of what I'm looking for right there.
It just kind of popped right off the
screen.
Well,
I like, so this is my thing as logos go. I love simple logos. Right. Simple logos, but they also tell what they need to tell. Something concise, minimalistic, but fun.
Yeah.
Something you could put on a hat and be like, yo, that's dope. I love that.
And
wear that as a hat.
And to add on to that, yes, like I want people to be able to look at our logo and not even see the wording there. Like you can see, this is just the logo. Yeah. But if anybody sees this, they're going to know it's Fuzzy Monkey, so that's kind of what we were looking for. And another thing too, was looking towards the future, like what's going to have a shelf presence, because while we were doing this logo, we were also doing a coffee bag design. So both of those are kind of one and the same there. We don't have our printed bags at the moment, but we usually do, and it's really cool because half the monkey's on the front and then half the monkey's on the side of the bag, and it's like an all white bag, and you put it next to something at the grocery store, and it's going to look a lot different because how many bags out there are brown, like the real dark colors, blues, things like that.
Yeah, we wanted something that stood out.
Yeah. So we kind of did it, I'd say, a little differently than, somebody, let's say, that was, roasting coffee in their kitchen and it's like, oh, I want to start a company and do this. And, printing out labels and putting them on like maybe a brown bag or something like that. We were very much on the other side of that. Like, there's so many coffee companies out there, and we knew it's going to be much like the craft beer boom.
Yeah.
So we're like, how can we separate ourselves from everybody else, and that really did give us a leg up in the beginning because people were like, wow, this looks so good, it's so great. And then also, we took great pride in learning how to roast the coffee to the best of our ability, and we're obviously still improving, but good enough where people are like, wow, this is good, the product is good, the image is good, maybe this is something that we can support, and that kind of goes into our mission too.
That was a question that I had also was, there are so many coffee companies out there. How do you, what is the goal of your coffee company then? Let me ask you that. What are you trying to do with your coffee company?
I'll let you go.
Yeah. So, initially I think it's kind of evolved a little over time. Initially we just wanted to try to get some coffee going, but we wanted to market some quality coffee. So our initial ambition was to just find, quality coffee, high quality coffee, and it turns out it's specialty grade. And which, that's a whole nother topic. There's a big difference between the specialty grade coffees and commercial grade commodity coffee. But anyway, so I always like to try to think of, ways that you can kind of give back a little bit in different ways. It's hard when you're starting out. You just don't have the capital to be able to do a lot of that. But one of the things we want to do is we obviously want to offer a really great quality coffee that people want to come back to, based on their taste experiences with us. But we also want to look to try to give back in some ways. So, we're trying to, our intent this year was to try to get more involved with an organization that works with the Golden Lion Tamarin in Brazil, but they're based out of the National Zoo in DC. And we actually were in contact with them and stuff. And we're working on ways that we could help them out and try to promote their cause and different things like that. Obviously, everything's just kind of, screeched to a halt this summer. Well, still, but so some of our plans were kind of delayed. But there's also, another organization that I want to become involved in. It's called 1% for the Planet, and that's another kind of give back organization that is doing a lot of good in a lot of different areas too. Just not particularly wildlife, but just environment and social causes and stuff like that. So it's a good organization. So that's ultimately I'd like to see us get to where we're doing a lot to kind of give back. And another one that we're kind of proud of, that we're trying to push a little bit more to our customers, is an organization that's called Cafe Feminino, and it's an all women's coffee cooperative around the world. And one of our coffees that we have is our Peruvian Night Monkey, which is a fair trade organic, and it's out of the Cafe Feminino organization. And basically, at the end of the year, 5 cents on every pound of coffee that we buy from them, we donate to either them directly, or we can even select another cause of our own choosing, like a women's cause locally that if we wanted to donate to. So that's kind of long-winded, but kind of get the idea.
That's fantastic, though, to have that type of goal in mind, is to really give back to the community that's really lifting you up and supporting you. No, I commend you for that. That's amazing.
And to expand on that, what he's talking about, a lot of people don't know this, is, specialty grade good coffee's got to be grown at high elevations. And a lot of times where this coffee is grown are third world countries. And, these farmers are very poor, very little resources. A bad year of crop could really, almost put them under. So like a cooperative like that, where women in particularly can come together and create a farm, co-op like that. I'm sure it's a bunch of different little farms and stuff. We'd love to go down there one day. In fact, we're trying to get involved with another guy who's from the States and has a farm down in Honduras that he is starting to export beans back to the U.S. And we know a lot of other small roasters that have ordered from him and received beans. And he's very welcoming. He'll let you go down to his farm and show you around. And excellent product, excellent guy. He provides shelter for these people, jobs, provides their own business opportunities for them. So those are the type of people and the type of organizations and farms and stuff that we want to get behind. We're slowly getting there. We do have fair trade organic offerings, but even if they aren't, we still ethically try and source our beans as much as possible. We use a place called Genuine Origin, which is dedicated to ethically sourcing beans. So that is very important to us, giving back to the people that are giving us this great coffee, because there always seems to be they seem to be the ones that get left behind. And that trend is starting to turn, but it's a long ways from being reality.
And just to add to that a little bit, just to give a little bit more insight into the coffee industry, what Brandon's talking about, working directly with these farms, it's basically called direct trade, where you're working directly with these farms to get their green coffee beans. And what that does is it just ensures that those farms are getting fairly compensated for their product, versus some large conglomerate going around to all these different farms and paying them, basically what they want to pay them because they can, because they're just, you buy, you take what we give you, we're not taking your coffee. So that's a big deal. And it's something else that
that's something that I had no idea happened, that there were cooperatives out there that, smaller, I don't want to say smaller because I don't know scale, but I feel like smaller roasters like yourselves, being able to support your coffee company then in turn supports those types of organizations. So if you want to talk about support small local business, you're doing that in a local community thousands of miles away. That's fantastic. That is so neat.
Yeah,
and
have
that type of reach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why we definitely want to try and get down to at least to Central America at some point in time to check this out. And really, I want to get on the ground level. I want to see what's this all about. I want to feel those green beans, those cherries in my hand while they're drying out on the cement. Like I want to get that experience, and I want to be able to relay that to other people that don't know about it, because a lot of people don't, and a lot of people don't know where their coffee's coming from. Even if you don't care what the coffee tastes like, at least care where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, responsibly sourced coffee, a fair market value for it. These people are actually making living wages. That's not happening everywhere.
Mm-mm. Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Yeah, more times than not, it's not happening. It's not a very thriving industry in a lot of parts of the world. So as far as down to the farmer level goes.
Yeah, the farmer always seems to be the one that gets kicked the most.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's in any industry. Any industry, yeah.
It flows downhill, as they say.
For sure.
So aside from coffee, what are you guys into? What else are you guys doing, or is this consuming everything?
Well, pretty much half of our lives, I think, each of us, if not a little bit more. Like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I did have a full-time job with the government before that. Left that to be a real estate agent full-time. So that is my day job. That's what I do. Coffee is what I usually come home to afterwards to work on, weekends, things like that. But being a real estate agent is nice because it allows me to really have a flexible schedule to do events, to even just go and do orders maybe during the middle of the day. If I don't have some appointments going on and the phone's quiet, I can get up there and roast some coffee. I definitely enjoy that aspect of it. And it's kind of gets my mind off of real estate too. Like, you don't want to get burnt out too much on one thing. So this kind of gives me another release to focus on and work on, and give me a creative outlet too.
Yeah, that's important. That's important, especially if you're the type that enjoys doing those things. I mean, a lot of people, for whatever reason, they don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy that creative side of it.
I love it. Like, honestly, if I could get to a point where I could just handle that, that would be great. Obviously, me and Doug wear a lot of hats, many hats. So, I think the first step, the next step for us is, we want to get a storefront here pretty soon. Either that or a mobile cafe, and then kind of expand from there. Maybe have somebody that can fulfill orders for us.
Yeah. So what is that plan for the next near term? Let's say 1 year, and then we'll say long term, 5 years.
So I want to get a mobile cafe this winter. I want to get either some type of travel trailer or like there's a place near us that auctions off school buses, small school buses, half-size school buses, full-size school buses for pretty cheap. And school buses are well taken care of because they usually are carrying people and kids. So they're easy to convert. Take seats out and then you put what you need in there, and that's pretty much it. So that's kind of our goal right now. We are located near Slippery Rock University, so the goal is probably to get somewhere within town there, to catch the college crowd, because there's a couple options in there, but the options are very limited.
Yeah, and I think going the mobile cafe way, at least for the time being in the near future, it looks like the least troublesome way to get our product out on the streets, besides going to markets and events and stuff like that. So, and being able to, when we go to these markets and events, we're pretty much stuck with just serving straight hot coffee, which is great but there's also a market for the espressos and the lattes and especially drinks and stuff like that. So
right.
With a mobile, cafe, it's easy. You just find a place to set up and you operate. It's
if anybody wanted to see, if they wanted to come in and to get a coffee from your mobile cafe, do you think you guys would some sort of sign up where you get notifications of where you're going to be, or would it be over social media? Have you went down that road yet?
I think it would depend on what the situation is. If we can get kind of a permanent location in town there where we can be there every day, because there are a couple spots where food trucks are doing that, that, we probably wouldn't need to do that other than maybe some special events or something like that.
Right.
But I mean, we have a social media following. We promote it all the time. We always, whatever we're doing, wherever we're at, it's always on social media. So I don't think that's really going to change for us. We'd probably have a post at least every day, even if we're in the same spot.
Yeah, it's a tool that you have to, that we'd obviously would utilize regardless. But, once if we were able to get set up permanently, I say permanently in quotes, but set up somewhere, where we're going to be primarily all the time, you post that frequently on social media, and eventually, everybody's going to know. And you can always throw up some signs around town or something like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll add on to the growth as well. We were trying to get into Giant Eagle, which is kind of like a major grocery chain store around us. There's one actually in town in Slippery Rock. It's a franchise. We already kind of have an in there. We just need to get an appointment set up and kind of pitch it to them a little bit and get a spot. The biggest thing, we reached out to them last year and they told us we needed barcodes. So if anybody doesn't know, we weren't quite there to go and purchase a bunch of, barcodes to put on our products, but we did do that. So we're reaching out to them again, because you have to reach out to them at the end of the year so you can get put in for the next year. So we're hoping to do that. We are in some couple local shops working on those too. So, I don't want to say antique stores, but just, small pop shops with a shelf and some coffee on it.
And you can also order your stuff on your website too, correct?
That's the biggest. That's the biggest place where we get our orders.
Where is that? Fuzzymonkey.com?
Fuzzymonkeycoffee.com.
Fuzzymonkeycoffee.com.
And if you Facebook search, Instagram search Fuzzy Monkey Coffee, I promise you, we will be the only ones that pop up.
Yeah. The unique name is nice. Dude, whenever I started this podcast, stars is like one of the most used words on the internet. So to find our podcast is like next to impossible. So if you type in stars and then our name now, it'll come up because we have enough episodes out there. But at the beginning, you couldn't find us.
Oh, that'd be terrible. Oh man.
Because you talk about like Star Trek, Star Wars, like
just
celebrity stars, all the star words you could think of were definitely before us.
Yeah, that's
that'd
be frustrating.
And we tell people, just going back to the ordering online thing, we people ask us where they can get it, and especially locally. And even though we don't have a presence right now, we do offer free local delivery and pickup for I don't know, probably half the county and over into Lawrence a little bit, and I'll go quite a ways, and it's something that it's a lot of extra work, but I think it's worth it.
Hell yeah, dude! Whenever you deliver, so you guys are familiar with Forever Green, the juice company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They started doing that, and that changed everything for me with those guys, because he's coming over to the house, juice. It was great, seamless process.
Yeah,
it
works well.
Yeah, and we do want to keep that up for our local people. I think once we get a storefront and some grocery store presence, we won't need that as much. But for right now, I think people do really appreciate it.
So let me ask you this: if you were to tell somebody they're just getting into coffee, and you want them into your coffee, what's your choice that you would recommend for them?
Yeah, so I mean, that's honestly something we get asked or recommend at events all the time. Our goal a lot of the times is try to convince these people that there is a difference between the Folgers and the Maxwell that they're buying for, real cheap at Walmart. You get like however much you get with them anymore. Like it feels like 10 pounds for like $5 or whatever. But, So the first thing that I do is I ask them, what do you usually drink? If you're drinking something like a regular, just Folgers medium roast, that's going to be different. I'm going to recommend something different than, let's say, if you're drinking Folgers Black Silk. So if it's a medium roast, I usually recommend the Colombian. That's kind of like the most typical coffee flavor one that we have. It's got the nutty, um, smooth finish to it. It's just really, it's a good coffee, but it's nothing crazy. It's, it doesn't make your palate go, wow. Like,
but still, it's something you have to talk to the customer about, because you tell them it's a Colombian, and well, obviously everybody that buys from the grocery store, the Maxwell Houses and the Folgers, they're well aware of Colombian coffees. So you kind of have to make sure they're aware that, yeah, it's a Colombian, but it's a specialty grade. It's so you kind of go into a little bit about explaining what the specialty grade actually means. How does that differentiate from the other stuff? And that helps a lot.
How has that elevator pitch changed in the over the summer? How has that evolved?
Yeah, it's
to catch people's attention. To catch people's attention real quick before they pass you up or whatever. What's your go-to thing then with your company? Is it the kind of that locally sourced and supporting those communities and that higher grade bean?
It depends on the customer, actually, and you kind of start off with those things, and then whatever seems to pique their interest the most is what you then kind of go in that direction. But yeah, I mean, you try to explain, tell them, hey, we're specialty grade coffee, we try to do as much fair trade organic as possible, and it's we ethically. We work with companies that ethically source their coffees. So you and then you get a feel for what they're interested in, and then go from there. Because it varies from customer to customer.
There's one way though. There's really one way. Put it in their mouths. Just give them a sample.
Yeah.
And that comes back to hey, okay, here's our spider, which is our Colombian. You drink Folgers medium, give this a shot. You drink black silk, oh, I have lion tamarind dark roast for that. This is gonna be the best dark roast you've ever had. So I just give them the sip, and I can tell you 99.9% of the times, if not 100, it's oh wow. And it's simply because it's better coffee, it's fresher coffee, and it's just nothing that most people have ever experienced before.
Yeah, and you kind of go into that whole fresh aspect too, and explain to them look, the coffee you're buying off the shelf, you have no idea how old that is, and it's already ground, the majority of it, and especially Maxwell House Folgers, it's already ground, so it's lost a ton of flavor that it did have, even though it doesn't have as much because it's grown at lower elevation, so it doesn't have as much flavor profile, anyways. But
and I should add on to that too, because we talk about the experience of even drinking and making coffee. So we tell people all the time, get beans from us. Go and buy a $10 grind. Even if it's a food grinder, go to Walmart and buy one and grind your beans. It's going to be a much better experience than getting ground. And I've had people even buy our coffee ground and then stick it in the freezer. And it's just I'm just that's not really the point. Yeah. And and it is probably still going to be better.
Yeah.
But I want it to be the best that it can be for somebody. So whole bean is the best. Now you can freeze or refrigerate those. Those will keep a little bit longer, because here's the thing, once you grind the bean, it releases pretty much everything right away, and it's only going to stay fresh for, we're talking maybe a week is going to be its max freshness. Then after that, it's just going to tail off completely. Whereas with the beans, it doesn't do that.
Do you guys do education? Would you let's say 5 people wanted to take a class on roasting beans and coffee.
I don't think the student can be the teacher yet. I don't think I feel comfortable with that. I tell people what our experience is, but I don't want to sit here and say that we've been roasting this coffee for 20 years and we're experts at it. That's not the point. We do have good coffee, but we're always striving to get better.
Now, with that said, I do think we, novice coffee drinkers, we could definitely educate, because we do it all the time.
Yeah, we've talked about doing cupping parties.
Yeah.
Do you know what coffee cupping is? Should I explain it?
Yeah, I'm not familiar at all with it. I assume that it's just it's like sampling, but explain it.
Yeah, so it's just like you get everybody gets kind of little samples of coffee that you taste with a spoon, and there's a technique to it, and you slurp it, and you kind of trying to think of the word.
Like on your palate, you cover your
Yeah,
palate with it.
it just
Yeah.
if you're in a room with people cupping, it just sounds nasty because it's just a bunch of people
It's a bunch
slurping.
of people slurping and snapping.
Very loudly.
Yeah.
It's like my
And
worst nightmare.
So
and
you just put the ground coffee in like water basically.
Okay.
And it's
at a
not
certain
filtered.
temperature.
Yeah, at a certain temperature, and then you just basically use a spoon. You get the grounds off. Make sure you're not drinking the grounds or anything, and then you just kind of put it up and sip it, and then you take notes on flavors and your taste experience, everything in between. I forget how many there is, but I think there's like 150 flavors on the coffee flavor wheel.
Yeah, there's actually a flavor wheel.
Yeah, there's a flavor wheel. So I mean, and that's another thing too when we come to people with trying to figure out what they like is everybody has a different taste. Even the people cupping this is going to have a different taste. But yeah, I mean, as far as educational stuff, we have thought about doing that, and or even just hosting parties. It doesn't even have to be educational. I feel like people would enjoy just trying maybe some different coffees.
It's just something different to do for sure.
Yeah, kind of like a wine tasting party or something.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And it would be something more local, so then you would start touching those your local market, and it'd be neat.
Yeah, so I guess you could say that we could be educational in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
I just don't like to boast. That's all.
Sometimes, hey, listen, whenever you have good stuff, you got to boast a little bit. Yeah. Because like I said, I have had the coffee. I think we've ordered 3 or 4 times from you guys. We're out right now, but it's a different experience. It's a different flavor, and you guys are constantly evolving as a company and as roasters. So it's fun to watch. And it was nice talking to you guys over the summer at the farmers market, because you really you opened my eyes as well, because I didn't even know you guys were in Slippery Rock. And then I found out you're at the golf course and you're all over the place, and I'm like, okay, what are these guys doing? Let me nail this down, because they're moving and shaking out here, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we're trying to move.
You got good stuff.
But
and that's kind of the point of doing the events too. Not just to push our product, but we want to meet people like you that haven't experienced us before, even had a coffee experience like us before. That's that, and it's nice to hear that it's working.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have not been able to do the amount of events and stuff that we wanted to this year, which is unfortunate. So we try to do social media as much as possible. Social media, especially with advertising, is more like how much money you can push out to them.
Yeah.
And for us, we want our money to kind of go elsewhere where it's going to help us more in the long run, whether that be equipment, whether that be just operations in general. It's just like we don't want to push quite all of it into marketing and advertising. We think it could be used better elsewhere right now at the time.
Of course.
Yeah, because we are young. We've been around almost 2 years now, but the first year to me was almost just like, just get going, just try to do
a lot of trial and error.
I mean, so it was almost, I wouldn't say it was a wasted year, but it wasn't a building year. This year has been our first building year, and it's even with the whole COVID, thing going on. It was
absolutely
really beneficial. And it could have been better, is what's frustrating to us, is it could have been even better.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, but I just imagine if we didn't have all this and we were able to do our events almost every weekend that we had planned.
Yeah, because we had events planned over. There was we were going to go over to Columbus, Ohio. There was a big coffee nerd event over there that we were looking forward to getting involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And, they canceled that, and just all the big events were canceled. So thank goodness there was at least the farmers markets were able to operate, and that helped.
Yeah, at least be able to stay local and touch that market for sure.
Yeah, and we were able to even get into Hubbard, Ohio. We've got a few farmers markets over there, which, ultimately ended up with us being, we're in a little local store over there now.
Oh, nice.
So just the past couple of weeks. So.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. We think it's going to do pretty well, but just like everything else, it takes a little time to get to worry about it. But they're pretty active on social media as well. So
I think overall, though, I'm extremely happy with our growth. I would rather it be as organic as it has been, rather than superficial. And I say that as in, people that maybe just try us once and don't come back, or they look at our ad and look at our website once and don't come back. The people that we do have is people that we've met, people that have had experiences with us personally.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to be better than advertising is word of mouth by them. And it's the same thing with the real estate industry. Ultimately it's going to be consumers telling other consumers, hey, what is that, what's that bag you got on your counter over there?
Mm-hmm.
I drink so and so, but what's that like? That's how really you get your growth out there. And I think if we can keep doing that, keep basically hitting the streets and talking to
Yeah.
people, that's going to be the best thing that we can do. And we want to
I
be able
agree.
to expand our street presence, and that's kind of what we're working on.
Well, fantastic. I'm doing my part out here. Because I like the coffee.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, and I love
very
supporting
much
local businesses, and I'll do whatever I can to keep the word going.
And the great thing about this is it's opened us to so many other local businesses we didn't know existed. I mean, the juicing, we're going to have, we got a butchery or something coming down the road soon to us. We got a honey guy. Like, you have everything you need around you. You literally you have everything you need around you with local businesses. You just need to find them.
And they're always at that farmer's market.
Yeah.
Always.
All the produce, all the meat, your coffee. I mean, I go to the store for bread and not even eggs anymore during the summertime because I get the duck eggs. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Duck eggs it was like $3 for a dozen of them.
That's
nuts. This is insane. I love living in the country.
Yeah. It's not so bad. It's not so bad.
It is not bad at all. Well, hey, I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you guys jumping on. I want to do this again whenever we have a little bit more time. But before we go, is there anything that you want to get out there to the listeners, where they can find you, those types of things?
Dad, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, obviously our website primarily is our, biggest source for information. Just go fuzzymonkeycoffee.com. We also have a pretty, a growing Facebook presence, but we have a nice little page on just a Fuzzy Monkey Coffee, Instagram as well. We got stuff going on there.
Give us a like.
What?
Give us a like.
Oh yeah,
please
like,
share, and follow.
Like, share, and follow. All that good stuff. Yeah, that's just same stuff everybody else needs. But yeah, and just if you follow us on there, you're gonna be up to date on what we have going on. We just recently launched a tea line. It's our Simeon tea. It's not up on our website yet, but it will be soon. So it's we've had it included in a couple fundraisers. That's another thing we do too, is we offer fundraising opportunities for organizations. Have a couple of those going on right now. But
reach out to us. People are tired of your candy and hoagie fundraisers. People want coffee.
Yeah. So
there you go. That would be something different.
It is, yeah. And we actually do private labeling for fundraisers as well. I worked with a youth hockey organization out of Newcastle. I designed a private label for them, and we're going to slap it on the bag of coffee, and it's underway right now, but we think it's going to go well. So we're trying to do what we can. It's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah, and for this weekend, we also have a sale going on, Black Friday sale. Free shipping over orders $20 or more with 10% off. So get on there this weekend and get your order in.
That'll run through Monday, right?
Yes, I think so. So Monday at 11:59 it'll end. And then on top of that, we'll have some Christmas sales coming up. We'll have some, hopefully some seasonal Christmas flavors. We had 2 last year. Going to hope to have 2 again this year. Don't know if they're going to be the same or not. Just keep a lookout for those soon. And yeah, just keep supporting local business, guys, and small businesses. Not just us, but everybody. We all need your help right now. We appreciate Ron bringing us on here. It means the world to us. And, if you have any questions or concerns, we're here to answer them. Anything at all to help you understand more about our business and to be willing to support us. We will do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, guys. And get your orders in. Get your coffee. Everybody wants it for the holidays. They make good stocking stuffers,
Yes.
everything. Get the grinder. Do it all. Do it right. Get these guys at Fuzzy Monkey Coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for jumping on. Appreciate it. I'm
Thanks,
going to be
Ron.
putting my order in. And as always, guys, enjoy the journey. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
Ron.
you.
Appreciate it.
Take
Have a good
care.
one.
Take care.
So the journey has begun. If you guys listening to our content today had any kind of value or you were moved in any way, please feel free to subscribe, pass it on, let everybody know that these two guys are the truth. They're out here just trying to do good things to make good people.